I'm so happy. We found one of the wigs. A spotted eagle owl, part of our resident pair here at Djuma. Down in the riverbed. If you haven't met this beautiful creature before, welcome. Warm greetings from the spotted eagle owl, giving us a very grumpy look from a very dense spot up in the tree. He has given us, he or she, I'm actually not sure if this is male or female. It's almost impossible to tell unless they're next to each other or brooding on a nest. But he or she has given us quite the challenge to share with you today. Very tough spot. We literally cannot move at all because you know what it's like with signal sometimes, and the spot that we are in, that this eagle owl has chosen, is probably the most notorious bad signal spot in the whole riverbed. We've repositioned multiple times and we found the sweet spot, so we're not moving. I know it's not the clearest view, but at least you get to see a spotted eagle owl. And you can see its legs, which is pretty cool. It's hiding its grumpy face, but you can see the outline of the ear tufts. But you can see its leg. It looks like a very short, frumpy, stumpy leg. Very thick as well, but it's actually not. Owls have the weirdest leg structure. If you've ever seen an owl's skeleton, you know what I'm talking about. But it's so fluffy, covered in feathers. But its legs go about halfway up its body. You just can't see it because it's so fluffy with feathers. Very entertaining. Janet, I'm so happy to hear that this has made your day. One of your favorite things to see, the spotted eagle owl. Mine too. I'm very excited to see when they're going to start nesting because we're in their notorious nesting spot. Okay, a little bit up the riverbed from there, but still the same general area. Oh, we have a much better position and a wildly exciting one. I'm trying not to freak out because it's that exciting, and I'm trying not to move. Again, we're in a tricky signal spot, but we're also in a tricky spot with Mrs. Wig looking at us. It's the first time we've seen her sitting on the spot where she normally nests. Guys, is this the moment? Has she laid eggs? Is she getting ready to lay eggs? Is she checking it out, making sure the scrape is still good? Oh, I'm so excited right now. This was the best idea ever. We've been waiting to see when she's going to start spending time in this little scrape. And finally, the day has come. Now, she's exceptionally well camouflaged. And this is what she does with her day. When she's got eggs or she's getting ready, she sits here. Ooh, much better view than of the male. So now we know this is Mrs. Wig. Mr. Wig was the original owl we saw. A really cool fact for the day, because I find this mind-blowing. There was a single female that was resident in the same territory for more than 21 years, with the same male for 13 and a second male for 8 years after something happened to the first. 21 years, everybody. This is just the beginning. Oh, I'm getting excited. Now we know the owls are getting serious. Oh, she's looking down at something. You see how quickly her demeanor changed there. Oh, Stacy, I would love to see one of the wigs going down for a drink. I have never ever seen an owl waterside, I must be honest. Never seen an owl go for a drink of any species. I've seen them close to water holes, but never ever seen it. I think they probably do it in those really late hours of the night, and everything gets nervous at a waterhole, even birds, so they drink regularly. Whenever it's available, they'll go and drink as regularly as they can, but I think it's such a rare thing to witness. I'd love to know if any of you have ever seen an owl drinking. If you have, please share your story with me because it's on my bucket list. I want to hear your stories. I really do. It's on my bucket list. Spotted eagle owls in particular, the whole nesting process is actually pretty poorly documented. No one really knows what their breeding success is because there's hardly been any nests actually watched through the entire process of nesting, laying eggs, brooding and incubating the eggs, having the chicks and fledging the chicks to adulthood. So we have been phenomenally lucky. I want everybody to soak this in. We've been so lucky to see this happening the last few years. We don't actually realize how lucky we have been. But it really is one of the most special things that Djuma in particular has to offer. Hello. That is quite the stare you've got. We are talking about how special you are. Dave, good afternoon, almost evening, very exciting. So owls are pretty interesting, and particularly spotted eagle owls. She doesn't lay all of her eggs at once. She lays them a few days apart. So she lays the first egg, waits a few days, lays another egg, waits a few days. And it's normally about 2 or 3 eggs at a time, but it can be as many as 6. And if she's having a bad year, it can be as few as 1. It actually depends on what the environmental conditions are around her at the time. So she will lay a larger clutch of eggs if there is a lot of food around. If it's a very plentiful season, then she'll have a lot more eggs to lay. But if it's not a plentiful season, she won't lay that many eggs because she knows, and her body knows, that it's going to be more of a challenge to feed that many. So the average, they say, is usually 2 or 3 eggs, but it can be a lot more. And it's been such a good season, let's bear that in mind. We've had water like you can't believe. There are little food sources probably everywhere. So maybe this will be her plentiful season. We can only hope that it might be a plentiful season for her. She looks so grumpy. Why do these owls always look grumpy? There are some starlings that are chirping right above her head. Can you see them, BK? They are literally perched. Oh, it flew off right above her head. Oh, Nicole, in all honesty, I have absolutely no idea. We don't really have an average age for how long the usual spotted eagle owl lives, but it would be probably close to maybe 25 years or so. So I'd think she would still have chicks right until the time when she's ready to die of old age, if nothing else has happened to her by then. Considering that they had that one female that was resident for over 21 years in one spot, and she became resident only when she was mature, bear that in mind, so only when she was ready to start nesting and come back over and over again. They had her for more than 21 years, so it can be a very long time, and in that time she should have at least 1 brood a year. Towards the end she might slow down a bit, but in all honesty there's actually no way for me to be certain because we really haven't got enough data. We don't have enough stats on owls. Birds in particular are very tough to study in comparison to something like mammals because how do you keep track of one over 21 years if you haven't put a GPS tracker on it or ringed it? And how do you keep track of it consistently over its life to see exactly how many times it's nested and where? Unless you have a GPS tracker, it would be almost impossible. Which, of course, it's not the most invasive thing, but it's still not it's not non-invasive. she would have a GPS tracker on her back. But it really is quite poorly documented, the whole thing. So we're very lucky. I don't know how long the Wigs have been coming here. Can anyone tell me when the first time was that the Wigs were noted nesting here? It was many years ago, I know, but I just don't know exactly when. 2020 was the first time. Okay, but the nest is further south. Okay. Okay, so BK is saying 2020, quite a bit further south in the riverbed. Same general area, but further south. So 2020, we've had 3 years of it. This will be the 3rd year. That's amazing. If they can be resident in an area for 21 years plus, that's probably the extreme end of the stick. 2019. Okay, BK is not sure. So if anyone can confirm, somewhere around there. If they can be resident in an area, particularly a female, for 20 years, that is just wild. I mean, let's hope that we have the privilege of having these owls around for that long. Can you imagine? Oh, this is the first day. We came through here yesterday and couldn't spot her down here. They were high up in a different tree, quite well hidden. We couldn't even show you. But my goodness, it's the first day we've seen her down here in the nest. I'm so excited. Little baby wiglets. Wiglet chicks. Let's hope. I know everyone was chatting the other day about how they were named. I believe they were actually named after Hedwig. Sebwig. That's where it came from. Sebwig. Sebastian naming Hedwig Sedwig. Hedwig Sedwig. Brandon, so these two would probably stay together for life. We know that it's the same pair because they're so relaxed. But they would probably stay together pretty much all the time. So even if they aren't nesting at the time, you'd probably find they'd be hanging out in the general area and that they would be in the same kind of territory, in the same general area, and they probably catch up with each other every now and then. But coming back to the nesting site in particular is something that both of them will do as long as they're alive. So if this is their area of the riverbed, they'll come back here when it's time to nest, even if they haven't been together in the time in between. They should be, but they don't have to be. They'll keep coming back to the same area, and then once they're here, they'll find each other. So they've got exceptional eyesight, really good hearing, and of course they can call for each other. And they'll find each other and recognize each other. We know that it's them because I've never met another pair of spotted eagle owls that are this relaxed. Okay, so Sky Doogie, thank you very much. 2019, when James had the Wigs down here, and Sebwig in particular. So that's where the Wig family originated, was Sebwig, and then it became shortened to the Wigs. The Wig family. Thank you, Sky Doogie. Yeah, I've never met another pair of owls that's as relaxed as these ones. So I highly doubt it would be a different pair of owls, but also using the exact same spot to nest the last, 2-3 years? That's definitely a pair-specific thing to use the same nest over and over. And they would know each other very well. They actually do a very cute little, almost like a courtship display before eggs are laid. When they get to the point where they start to lay eggs. Okay, thank you, Gwen and Judy H. November 13th, 2019 was when the discoveries started happening of the nesting process. That's very cool. Thank you, Judy H. But they do quite a cute little display where they come quite close together at the entrance of the nest before copulating and before laying eggs. I don't think we've ever been lucky enough to see that, but that would be quite spectacular to witness. Wow. What a day, everybody. It's turned out to be even more spectacular than we thought. I'd love to see them clucking and bowing. So if you can imagine the two owls face to face on the ground here in front of the nesting site before she lays eggs, they would stand kind of facing each other, and they make these cute little noises, and they bow to each other. That's the kind of display that I'm talking about. I'd love to see that. Oh my goodness. I'd love to share that with you. Imagine if we'd been so lucky. But I think we might be a bit late for that, considering she's already sitting there. Or maybe she's just getting comfortable, making sure it's still comfortable before she lays eggs.